first step in most games is you need a character. And I will play Henri. And the first thing I will do is I will select a trait. And I will select the trait of cunning. And that would make me a commoner, probably low-born. I'm going to play the son of a whore. And I will probably play that up a great deal. And I will roll a second d8. And it is high enough that I will be dashing and cunning. Cunning is my primary trait. Let me update that. My name is Henri, and I am a man of France. I cannot call myself a citizen because I've never really had property. I've never had any possessions of merit. My mother was a whore, a prostitute. But luckily, a church member took pity on me and decided that I should be a cabin boy. The life out on the sea was very tough, very rough, and I had to grow up very quickly. I will probably clean up my vocals a little bit so that you don't hear me stammer as much. But I am Henri, and I am a French gentleman. I do not do accents. Forgive me for that. Occasionally I may slip into a British, Monty Python-ish accent, but that as well has nothing to do with the character, just has to do with me having fun. The next step of generating a character for Cutlass would be the fact that I would roll for my skills. I rolled a d8 for that as well. And I got a 2. And a 2, it gives me two skills in background and one skill outside of character's background. Now, I am a commoner, and so the type of skills that are within my background are briber, captain, ship pilot, cards, dice, forger, inquisitionist, navigator, pickpocket, rabble rouser, and spy. Now, I will play an apprentice who has been to sea, and I have my skills of captain pilot. Now, captain pilot is nice because it has a number of inherent skills associated with it. The captain pilot also starts with literacy, merchant, and sailor. While I was in port in the winters, I would stay in the monastery there where I was taught my letters. I didn't care for the priests. They were an odd lot, and some of them were very aggressive, and I didn't know quite what they were doing, but I knew it was not right. I took their kindness and I took their punishments without a smile or without a frown. And then I get one other skill outside of background. And I'm looking over at that soldier skills under dashing, and I think I'm going to be a swimmer. Now, when I pick up swimmer, I also pick up sailor, but I don't double pick it up. And the reason why I pick up swimmer is there's a lot of tables in the game which refer to the fact that if the player cannot swim, over the course of time, you'll find that I straighten these characters up in a word processor program, and that will be, I don't need to waste your time showing that. And there I am. I am a captain. I am literate. I am a merchant. I probably acquired that literacy with inside of a monastery. If my mother was a prostitute, an English whore, I'll say, and I'm a Frenchman. How many languages did I pick up there as well? Let's see if I got English. One skill, I did not speak any extra languages, so despite the fact that I was raised by an English whore, living in Marseille, I do not speak any English. I am French-speaking. And for my French speakers in the audience, again, forgive the fact that I'm not going to try to make some sort of bastardized accent. Oui. I am also a merchant. I know the value of money, and I know how to trade. And I'm a sailor. I know my way around a ship, and I can swim, which means when I fall in the water, I'm not instantly drowned. I enjoy the water, and I enjoyed the sea. I said I'm going to start in Marseille here, and after I generate it, and the campaign will be based around the religious turmoil. I'm going to start with France in general being in the medieval style of the church, but I'm going to go ahead and move it all the way to a reformed church by the end of the campaign, provided it holds my interest. I know that Montpellier Valley is a religious hotspot of dissidents. Ranters are running wild there. I know in the Sea of Brussels and these little islands off of Marseille, there is a lot of pirate activity. And the capital of Paris is off to the south. I play in a fictional world. It just gets me out of trouble. I could play on the European campaign map, but then I would probably stymie myself, stuck in minutia as a historian of trying to keep track of all the historic dates. I'd rather play this free form. I'd rather have my own world. yet I want common references of England and France and the rivalry between them. The way the campaign sets up in Cutlass, and that's all described in Book 4, is you're going to have a champion of the faith, and you're also going to have a Vatican City and a religious state as well. And the champion of faith represents the old unreformed religion. And usually then there's one reformed hotspot, and that's in Ansbach here. And then, of course, France and England are mortal enemies. They're constantly fighting a war in Vichy, and that's a big fort there, and its counterpart is in Westshire. Then there's a nuisance. The Netherlands will be the nuisance of my homeland, France. And that nuisance has a number of places where they're competing in trade, they're competing with espionage, and then we have one minor ally, Scotland. In this case, it's not connected by landmass to England, but it shares a common ancestry. It probably separated, became independent because of France's involvement, therefore it becomes an ally of France, but it also leads to the rivalry between France and England. There's one colony of Spain. It's all the way down here. It's on the tip of Africa, and it's Timbuktu and the Ethiopians. We have an Arab in the Holy Land of the Fatima, and they are kept out of the old world through this buffer state of Serbia. All right, now all that is pretty much described in Book 4, and then you set up your own maps with it. But let's get back to the character play here. I have two recorders going. I have one from a referee's perspective and one from a player perspective, so you'll see that I'll be cutting in and out between the two of them. I have my character here. What are swaggering techniques? Swaggering techniques are combat abilities that I'll pick up by doing combat in the game. Language is spoken is probably just going to be French. My social status is 2. I'm destitute pretty much. I'm not on the street, but I need work. But I have skills. And do I have a ship and company I'm a member of? No, I do not. I'm back on the old world map. And so what would you do? You would want a mission. Well, in Book 2 of Cutlass, it describes how you can just generate missions on the fly. In Book 3 of Cutlass, it describes how you generate encounters for travel, either on the sea or on the land, on the fly. In Book 4, it describes how you build out your campaign. And then Book 5 was an extra book that's only available in the omnibus, and that's all of the extra additional Q&D tables, quick and dirty combat tables, and event tables that were generated during a year-long campaign I ran with my best friends, where we, in fact, some of the remnants of that is on this map here, the Vert Volant, the story of the Green Company. But we'll see if we can make our own adventures here. As I said, we're going to deal a little bit more with religious turmoil in this campaign, and that way, since I know I cannot offend myself in any way, if I offend you in the viewing audience, don't listen. Well, here comes the first card flip of the game, and I have flipped a 9 of coins. A 9 of coins would give me a patron, and I go down into the patron section of the rules, and I'm going to go past the rods and into the coins. And a 9 of coins is a gentleman of foreign origin. Is it inverted? It most definitely is. So a gentleman of foreign origin, an atypical adventuring character, a look in the mirror at what each player may be, as in my case, what I may be, depending upon my current level. The patron usually is has about the same cloud, class, and character status. So I have got a gentleman, and I will make him from Russia. I was waiting one day in Marseille. Actually, I was waiting to meet my mother when a gentleman approached me. He had a strange accent, but I recognized that it was probably some northern dialect. He said he was from Russia. I'd never been there. Although I'd sailed up and down the coast in both directions, I'd never stopped and left for port in Baku. Although many times I visited Amsterdam and Copenhagen, I enjoyed them immensely, despite the fact that those countries are both sort of enemies of my own homeland. So a gentleman of Russia comes to visit me, and he has a mission. Now, he probably has a ship, and he probably has some sort of influence in the general area, and that's all defined again in the rule set. And more as I play this, I'll stop referring to the rules outright, and I'll just spin my yarn. And so the next flip of the game would be the death card. Now I'm looking for the actual mission here, And that death card doesn't necessarily cause us all to gasp, but for me, it probably does. And I go down to the table on describing what death means as a mission. Now, the major terror are all modifiers in this game. They do not actually act as the real card of the event. And the death card will tell me that fate decrees that no character can die on this mission. No matter the circumstances, something will happen that will make it less than inevitable. So I got a death card, which means I have a no death for me. Well, that sounds like a pretty excellent thing to do and start as a level 0 character, which I am. And let's see what the actual mission that this gentleman of Russia, should we give him a name? We'll call him Ethan. Ethan Ivan, just so we had a little bit of Russian play. He said his name was Ethan Ivan, and Ethan Ivan told me that he had a proposition for me. He needed a companion, someone who looked like he was spry. Well, that would be me. I am a dashing man, I am a cunning man. And I was suspicious of him, but he seemed friendly enough, and he needed a friend. And for the moment, I had a little bit of money in my pocket, so I didn't mind having a friend. When he started paying for everything, then I realized, hey, this is a friend that maybe I could glom onto. EI. I will call him EI. And EI comes to me and says that he is a pretty sane, and he's been thinking about this mission for a little while. He's got it pretty well planned. A 3 of coins. Let's see what he wants us to do. And he probably has a ship, and he probably has some influence either along in Marseille or Nantes or up in Baku. And a 3 of coins gives me a mission of, we're going to burglarize a place. Well, you know, am I a lawful man? No, I'm not a lawful man. I'm a common man ready to take off. He wants to burglarize. Now, he probably wants these missions are more straightforward, and the players skip right to phase B. That's nice. So we're going to go right to phase B, and we won't have any absolute outright deaths for this mission, but I don't want to spend the next 40 years in a prison work camp or sent off to the colonies, although that would take my stories in an entirely unpredictable direction. Ethan said that he was looking for an item. It was an egg. An egg. Why would somebody want an egg? Wouldn't it rot away? He described it as an item of jewelry, and this piqued my interest. He said it was taken from his mother, and he wanted it returned. Burglarize a place. It is not inverted. Why does he want to burglarize the place? Now, I can generate the hows and whys and wherewithals. I can also add twists with all this, and we'll see. We only want enough to get us piqued in interest and then into the quest. But I'm curious what a Russian man wants to burglarize and why. So we're going to get the Fool card flipped here. That's probably a bad card. And the Fool says that the patron pretends he is motivated by one reason, but in truth, he has really no compelling reason. Oh, so I'm going to add a little bit of a flair to Ethan Ivan, where he's a bit foolhardy. Or he may even be a bit cuckoo, is a good word. The item was in Paris. He asked me if I've ever been there. I'd only been there once. It was some sort of religious pilgrimage. They made me walk the whole way in the hot sun. When we got to Paris, we didn't do much but parade around, smell a lot of incense, have 1 or 2 good meals of porridge, and then parade on back. I was just somewhere in the pack, holding my torch in the evening and my cross in the day. Let's see what the actual event would be. A 5 of Cups. So 5 of Cups is going to give me, I'm scrolling back whenever I'm double talking here. It seems like I'm just making time. A 5 of Cups says that we have motive is he seeks the thrill. Oh gosh, he's a thrill seeker, but it's inverted as well. The actual mission is secondary to his glory. So he is a glory seeker. Somebody probably challenged him and said, you cannot recover, a Fabergé egg. He's going to recover a Fabergé egg. And I will mix periods. I know that probably is a more modern creation. A Fabergé egg that was taken from the Russians. No, it was given as a gift. It was given as a gift by the Russians. A previous czar gave this as a gift, and the present czar wants to bring it back. And now I'm not going to start this off where some sort of grandiose ambassador from Russia is approaching a minor character in a campaign. It doesn't seem reasonable to me. So he's sort of like a friend of a friend of a friend, or even he overheard this. that the Russians have always regretted the fact that they lost that one egg of the set because they believe that France is not a good ally. Now, Russia is described as a medieval empire. It's a throwback empire. It still has lots of slaves. It still has lots of farmland. It has almost no navy. But France is becoming more of a modern power, a more a centralized government. It doesn't have really a true parliamentary system, unlike England. But what it does have is it has a king who's absolute. It's one of the first absolute monarchs of the period. And so this guy's foolhardy with his motive. Ethan said that we would travel to Paris, and he had information that the egg he was after was going to be moved, and that would give us an opportunity. Sounded like easy money. I decided I would go with him. I will then go. Do I need finances? No, it doesn't seem like we need any extra finances here. I'm going to skip that flip. I will add a twist. And so let me flip a twist for the world card. This is totally on the cuff, and I'm generating this as we go along. I have very little scripted. I only have a few vague ideas of what my general outcome will be. So, the world. Let's go to the world. When I go into the world here, going down, still going down. Man, this is a big book. So much better in paper form, but paper, so expensive, bygone era. The world, something unfathomable. Natural forces seem to be in the way. Well, that's not that good. So the weather is all terrible. Let's say we have a late spring snow. So there's a late spring snow, and the roads from Marseille to Paris are going to be the Paris roads are a muddle. And traveling in the weathering season was never a good idea at any time, and certainly moving large numbers of men during the winter was just a death blow. For us, the two of us, I'm not even sure we have horses. We're going to try to trudge from Marseille to Paris, but at least we're starting in phase B of the adventure. And I'm going to go into the actual card of the twist, and it's going to be a Queen of Swords, and the Queen of Swords inverted. So now this is sort of the unknown rival. This is not the rival themselves. Patron is a bastard, opposed by his fathers and relatives. No, it's inverted, so the patron is a legal heir, but he is opposed by a bastard or rival. That makes it more interesting. So Ethan is actually an heir. So he is probably an insane, foolhardy minor cousin of somebody, of a minor cousin of the Tsar in Russia. All right. Well, Ivan, you really are Ivan Ethan, aren't you? Aren't you part of the royalty there? Let's go down to the actual rival. Flipping a card for the rival, and scrolly. You'll hear me say that a lot as well. Or creative editing. Two of Swords. That Two of Swords is going to be, I'm going to read it, and it says that a gentleman against all flags. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and make him a gentleman pirate. And I'm going to also make him, that's that bastard son, an older brother who hates Ivan, and I'm going to make him a dom, and he'll be a dom Ivan. I would later find out that his brother, actually it would be his bastard brother, but since I was a bastard myself, I never saw the distinction. His bastard brother, Adam, was opposed to his coming and was probably someone who was looking after them and coming after them. So Adam Ivan is a bastard child of the same family, and the bastard's child was sent to go reclaim his younger brother. The younger brother trying to break into a Paris museum to collect this artifact. It's an impossible feat. And it sounds like an impossible feat to me, but as a level 0 guy interested in ignobles, I think this is perfect for me in the game. So I'm on the world map, and I'm going to travel from Marseille to Paris, and I continue the same motif here, but in this case, I'm going to flip encounters. So, and I'll add some narrative as we go along, or I can construct this quest and then add my narrative in as we in cutscenes. But here we go with our first travel encounters of the game, and I'm trying to scroll to the mission consequence encounters here. and especially the major tarot descriptions. Okay, now here we go. First flip of the game, I start in phase B. There are 3 phases of encounters. There's encounters in phase A, encounters in phase B, encounters in phase C. When you generate the mission, there are modifiers within the tables that affect the encounters of each table. Otherwise, you're just trying to get through A, through B, through C, as you play solo or as you play with a referee. And then when you get past phase C, you go into the climax, and the climax is generated as a series of events and challenges. And we'll show some of that as well. And the first flip in phase B is the Justice card. Now, the Justice card says, until the deck shuffles, ignore all knaves and treat them as tens. Tens. That was definitely an odd thing. I think I hit my back key a few times here. Let's get to my Fool, World, Justice. And it's that easy to get back home. All right, so we're going to have no knaves. So the rival, Adam is not going to have a whole bunch of henchmen go and rough his younger brother up. He's going to he's just trying to do this by himself. And next flip of the game, 9 of Cups. Now we go back. We don't count that major tarot, but we got a 2 here. So we got an encounter that's a 9 minus the 2. And that's going to be encounter number 7, cup coin. So a 7 and a cup coin. Boy, we went right into something pretty dramatic there in phase B. Now, well, how did I reach that conclusion? I'm going to just show you a few of these off the bat, but I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on them for the main reason that you can read this with the rules. Plus, some people would find it dull. But to start, you would decide whether or not the card was flipped in phase. All your face cards are always in phase, whether they're minor or major characters of the campaign. And in phase A, aces, 2s, and 3s take on certain significance. In phase B, 5, 6 take on significance. And in phase C, this 9 would have greater significance, but here it is just something else. What else is it? Well, you go to the next step of the encounter chart and you would say, well, is the previous card a face card? And if the previous card was a face card, then this 9 would become a personal event. It would be an event in the game that would affect me to grow my character or develop traits or talents or to have enemies or to lose something in the game that could be valuable to me. But the previous card was not a face card. Well, was the previous card the same rank as this card? Did I flip a 9 followed by a 9? Because that would be significant to the campaign. And all of these are detailed with a rule set. That's why you get a 1,500 plus rule set, is because it's not that you need to read 1,500 pages of rules. I'm not trying to do a Game of Thrones novel here. What you have is 1,500 pages of explanation. All you need to do is get patient, and you always get better in the hunt and the search, to be able to look up the results, encounters, and situations that can come together to create these stories. But enough of that. I'm not here to pitch this game. I'm trying to test a philosophy that I can generate interesting stories on the fly. We headed out on the road, and it was rather uneventful. We got a good start, though, a good jump. There was a snow that was coming down, and it was very strange to see it this late in the season in April. It was covering the ground and the flowers, the fields that had been planted. The farmers were all worried that they were going to kill their crops. Farmers, what fickle people. First they pray that they get rain until they get too much. Then they pray that their plants will grow until they start to see there may still be a frost, and they pray that the plants won't grow. By fall, they'll be collecting their pittance and paying their rents, and most of them will be starving. But here we go into the no names, 7 of Cups. Now, what did I do? What's the last thing that happens? It's not a mission consequence encounter. It's not a personal event. It's not a campaign event. So it's going to be a mission in consequence encounter, which is a very long, convoluted name for something that an encounter that takes place, but it isn't prompted by the relationship between Adam and his younger brother, Ethan. It is something that just happens on the road. And it's an encounter number 7, cup, coin, on the King's Highway. So I go to the King's Highway and I see a cup and I see a coin, and a cup and coin are gentlemen, and the 7 is a very familiar gentleman. So I could bring out Adam right now, but instead I'll bring somebody back from perhaps my past. But it's someone we know. It's someone who is a friend of us, an enemy of us, or it could be just a major character in the campaign. And what I'll do is I'll go to my notes that I wrote ages ago on my campaign, and I'll say that on the road to Paris, we see that Mayor Flaubert is actually escorting a series of prisoners and making a proclamation. He's on his way to meet the Baron of the area, Baron John Dacombe, and they're meeting because the two of them are discussing a prisoner of theirs, Johann Hugo. And Johann Hugo, he was imprisoned originally by the Chancellor in Paris, Charles, but for performing a play in Nantes, which was deemed sacrilegious. So the long and the short of it is, I'm now starting to get into this religious turmoil that's happening in the area. And I'm going to roll a D8 and a 7. So I'm going to push myself down this path to B. Now, stage B of the religious encounters, it's going to take me just a second here, I think, to probably look this up. Charles imprisoned Johann Hugo for creating a play which was exposing the corruption in the church. Now, exposing the corruption in the church, that's a pretty powerful thing, and something that could lead to all other events that are coming after that. But in my campaign, the all-world campaign, I am going to basically say that we have seen a bastardized performance of this play on the road. We heard this music, this playing. It attracted us, and we went over to find that there was a street performers that were gathering for the performance of Endeavor. I like the fact because it had some bare-breasted women performing on stage. Normally these affairs are quite formal and men play all the roles, but here it was more egalitarian and viva the equality here. Today's performance of this play on the road, and it has inspired me that yes, I'm certainly a man of low born. My mother was a woman that was unable to earn honest profession as an outsider, a foreigner in the country. And I saw the hypocrisy. The man that taught me my literacy, he was probably a diddler in the church, and so all of that just has led me into a position where I too start to realize the church itself is a terrible place. And as I take that on, I'm going to take personal growth. Check that off as my first encounter. On Ignobles, once I check all 9 Ignobles, I'll go up a level. Check that encounter that I will be a reformist, and I'll write that down. Or at least I have a reformist bent. And there are many types of personal growth that you can have. Your character can develop in hatred for the monarchy or love of the monarchy. It can hate capitalism and it can hate the slave trade. It can embrace the slave trade. It can hate foreigners. You can, all of these just, our hatreds tend to define us, I'm afraid to say. And we also collectively tend to have friends by those we collectively enjoy the same hatreds for. And that's my first ignoble game, and I'll probably neglect to check these and go up levels like I should, but we'll try to keep us a little bit more honest. And I'm back to my old world map, and I'm flipping my next encounter, and my next encounter is going to be an ace. Now, an ace again is not in phase. It is going to be a cup with the last encounter of cup, so it's going to be a cup 8, a catch-all cup. I go back to my King's Highway and look at my cups. My cup is going to be some sort of lord. And it's a catch-all. So I'm going to say that the Lord High Mayor recruits me in and says, we need to break up this performance, and I would like to hire you and your assistant here, Ethan. And the two of you, I want you to go in there with clubs and break these guys up. The bawdiness of it reminded me of some of the street performances in Marseille, not the puppetry ones, although those could get pretty rude. The performers were mocking the church, and I was laughing heartily when some gentleman sort of yanked at my coat. He introduced himself. He says, I'm Flambard. I'm the Lord High Mayor of Paris, and this endeavor may not continue. I will pay you each coin if you grab up these clubs and disperse the crowd. Well, I didn't know any of them. None of them were kin. Not that I had much kin, so I decided, well, I might as well take the endeavor. Now, normally I would say no, but this could probably be a defining moment of brawling to break these guys up, where I see the people watching the place, you know, they're perfectly innocent. And as the performers are shouting back at me, saying that we're papists, and I'm not a papist. I know I'm not a papist. I don't support the church any more than anyone else. We're going to get a brawl in here, and we're going to demonstrate the combat really quick. I grabbed up my club and I went into the crowd and started swinging, pushing people away. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I thought I could just, you know, if I disrupted them all. Now I am going to flip cards with my brawling, and I will pick Brash. Now I can pick a Brash, calculated, defensive, or irregular, but I'm going to pick Brash. And let me flip a card for Brash, and it's a king, and it's not inverted. Sounds like a great card. So I'm going to lock swords with some victim of mine and try to drive him off balance before delivering the slash. The success and deliver a dispatch to one opponent. So some guy probably drew a sword, and his might have even been just a theatric sword, but I drew my real sword, and all of the characters are in the game are armed with all their equipment. And I delivered a slash to this guy. I may regret it after the fact, but am I stout? I am not stout. But I'm going to roll 2 dice, and if I can get a 6 or better on 2 dice, I have successfully dispatched the opponent. But I didn't, and I probably couched my action here with the sword, because I realized the man had some sort of fake prop. But I'm back into the encounters. Now, all the encounters are of combat, and the adventure are focused on the characters themselves. The referee doesn't actually come back and then take his round of the people fighting here. Next round of the brawl, I'm going to flip a star card. And I look up the results of that, and that star card will tell me we will cancel the effects of all major tarot presently influencing the play. Now, that does not affect the encounter in tarots. It's only the tarot that would happen within this combat itself. Back to my Brash attacks here. Wheel of Fortune means I shuffle the deck. And when I get back to reshuffling the deck, I flip the Hangman card. And the Hangman card will say, the majors happen as the major happen. They add a little bit of a flair. It is the Hangman, not the Hermit. Servitor sacrificed lives for the greater good. By doing so, a special situation arose. So then across the stage, I noticed that somebody pulled a pistol and was about ready to fire. And his aim was off. These were probably the king's men. These were the men of Baron John Decub? No, it's of Flambeau. Lord Mayor Flambeau pulls his own pistol and fires it indiscriminately into the crowd. Some large-breasted gal jumped on my shoulders, and I thought that was all rather fun. And I was spinning her around and swinging my club and making a spectacle of myself, when the gentleman that hired me suddenly pulled a pistol and aimed it at me. What is this mockery? I've been fired at before. I was actually in 1 or 2 ship battles out at sea. I knew there was a good chance the pistol would misfire or his aim would be untrue, but still, the shock of it, that I would go from such merriment and some ridiculous frivolity into the seriousness of maybe taking a pistol ball to the chest. And is it Ethan, my patron, who steps in the way? That would be pretty powerful. But no, it's somebody else. It's just a minor performer. I didn't even know his name, but the thought that this guy would step in front of what he saw was a danger and take the blow for me, it just humbles me at the moment. But suddenly a man stepped in front of me. What was he doing? This was ridiculous. There's no reason for this. He shouldn't have protected my life. Why would he do this? His chest sort of caved in from the explosion. A bit of smoke rose. Oh, that was going to end really quick. I immediately turned my club on the men that had originally hired me. I started beating them down as ruthlessly as I could. Why did this guy do this for me? There's no reason for this. I'm starting to get a little bit more disheartened here. So now I'm going to turn around and I'm just going to start fighting the men from Flambeau. And here's what I'm going to say. I need to defeat 3 of the bully boys from Flambeau to push them out of the area so the play can continue. Here comes the first flip of the card, Knave. Now, I know we're ignoring Knave's treating as 10 in encounters, but not here during this combat round. So we go into the combat round, and looking that up, I'm back on my Brash. I could certainly go to Calculator right now, but I like Brash. And Brash, we get a knave. A knave and Brash is after an exceptionally fast and violent blow, you miss your victim and release your grip. So I lost my sword in the duel. And flip my next card. And the result of that is I have to choose an irregular action. Here comes a queen irregular. And a queen irregular would lead to... The queen irregular, is it inverted? No, it's all straight up still. A queen irregular is unable to ready for my attack this round. Obviously, I lost my sword. I have to maneuver. Fail roll, and I'm knocked unconscious and taken prisoner. 11 on 2 dice. Tough roll. And I have been knocked out and taken prisoner. But we were overwhelmed, and the horse guards came in, and I found myself unconscious, later awaking in a prison. Life is just not kind. And this is the point where we're going to leave the story hanging at the moment, and we're going to come back to Henri and Ethan and their exploits at another day. More later.